Hello, welcome to February 17th, 2026. It's a Tuesday. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation, a live video broadcast exercise that I do every morning at 5:30 a.m. to remember, recall, and apply the values, namely the objectives and the principles that I've taken time to put in my book, Going Alone, which is basically my reference guide for life. I take time every morning to think about the last 24 hours, how I did with any noteworthy challenges or opportunities that I encountered, and how I either applied the values here to good ends or to bad ends. If I applied them and they didn't turn out very well, then I have something to learn from that. Or basically where I reacted, but I failed to react in alignment with my values, where I can learn from that as well. What happens when I go astray, so to speak. I also use this time to think about uh, to go over the creed, at least name the 8 objectives and read one of the principles from the book directly. I I plan for the coming day. With that, huge welcome to my new subscribers to the channel. It's good to have you here, and a big thank you to my YouTube members and my Patreon supporters. I really do appreciate everyone, especially those who are supporting the channel directly like that. Disclaimer, I sometimes talk about subjects that are uncomfortable to people like death, so just be a heads up there. Also, this is a private journal done publicly, which means that although I look for the first 1 or 2 comments to go by just to make sure there are no technical issues, I tend to ignore comments until there's one from Tim right there chiming in with the weather. I'll come back and read that in the whole thing when I get to the end. Tim, thank you very much. I tend to, as I said, ignore comments until the end. So that not because I'm being rude or that I don't care, but simply so that I can keep the flow of things going, and then I circle back around. But like I said, as this is a journal entry, I never. Well, I have a pretty clear idea about where I'm headed with it because I have a map. But sometimes I will divert into tangential conversations. Also, often, very often, the things I talk about here may appear rather self-indulgent and like, well, boy, sure does go on and on about himself, which shouldn't be any surprise given that this is a journal entry. Look at that flame going crazy. That we're getting a second day out of that beautiful Japanese candle there, but the flame is taller than the candle now. It burns. They burn so differently than Western style candles. It's an antique nonetheless. Have another look. Wow. Yes, indeed. Hmm. All right, so let's get started. In the last 24 hours, yesterday was it's so bright. It's like having the spotlight on. Yesterday was well, how would I describe it? I worked in the morning. I had 2 lessons on my online English thing. I had a lesson with a, uh, a, a doctor of history, a professor here in Japan, preparing for some overseas travel and making presentation. We talked about his presentation. And then I had a lesson with one of my regulars, who is a very interesting woman who lived all around the world. She's older now, and both of these people their English is top notch. So it's really not an English lesson; it's just an open discussion. And we talked about her life, and I enjoyed that. Now it's like 3 times bigger. Look at that! It was just burning up really high there, and I do have the live camera running over there, by the way. Hi, live people. Hmm. Uh, as opposed to hello unalive people. Um, So I did that, and then the rest of the day, I wanted to spend some time in the garden, but I spent 0 time in the garden. Oh, I remember why. The whole morning was taken up with that, with the teaching. That took me until 10 o'clock. And then from 10, we took the dogs out for an early walk after 10, and then we went and had lunch with Dad. And then Yumiko and I went to the hair salon, like my hairstyle, and got my haircut. And someone asked yesterday what the price was for the haircut, and I told them it was 25,000 yen combined for both Yumiko and I, and that was spot on. It was like 25,500 yen, which is an astronomical amount of money. I would, without my wife in shepherding me through so much of life, I would never have spent so much money on a haircut. But there you go. That's what you get for. I mean, my haircut was the small part of that. Yumiko had a lot more done. In fact, she was there so long, I came home and went and picked her up later. All right. Oh, and allergies struck yesterday, and I was throughout the day. I was sneezing. I rummaged through my junk drawer, and I found some allergy medicine that I took a pill, and hopefully it'll get me through the morning today. So by the time all of that aforementioned stuff was done, it was 4:30 p.m. by the time we were home again, and that meant another dog walk, and then uh, preparation for dinner. That meant no, we took the dog walk earlier. That meant feeding the dogs, then feeding ourselves, then a final dog walk, bath, and bed. And I also squeezed in some lesson preparation. I'm substituting today for one of the teachers. It looks like I'm substituting tomorrow as well, and I have which is so I'm tomorrow's Wednesday, and then I have my English club on Thursday, and then I have more ACOX lessons on Monday, which means that this week, all 5 days, Monday through Friday, I will actually be working, which is the first full. I mean, I'm not working it all day, just a couple of hours a day, but first week that I've touched all 5 days, Monday through Friday, in over a year. Interesting. Now, the one note here that I have under the last 24 hours is, and this relates to what I just said, helpful anxiety keeping me sharp. Yesterday, I've been working enough that it's starting to become a little bit anxiety ridden, especially because I'm subbing for other teachers and I don't know their students or their curriculum or the state of their materials. And I was thinking that this is a good thing for me, that running at the point of having to solve problems and facing down uncertainty in the course of the day is good for me. At least currently it is. It's an old experience that I'm long familiar with. I've been doing for 4 decades, dealing with difficult things by way of work. And I think it keeps me, as I said here, keeps me sharp. And I was thinking about how in the garden, when my garden tools begin to get a little bit dull, I run them across the stone, the blade, and sharpen it up, and it performs better. Dealing with a little work-related anxiety and race around every day seems to have the same effect on me, and I'm welcome for that now. Because the opposite of that, and maybe this isn't true for everybody, the opposite of that for me would be a decline of sorts, and I'm kind of grateful to keep sharp. I sometimes see Japan has a problem with not enough young people, and there's a lot of construction going on in my neighborhood, building houses right and left, and as corresponding, they're demolishing houses and rebuilding new houses. Lots of construction. And I noticed a lot of old men, like in their 70s, still involved with the heavy outdoor work, the construction work, and the demolition work. And as I see them, I note how they're hoisting wheelbarrows around and carrying big sacks of something on their shoulder and hammering away and climbing ladders. And they're clearly in their 70s. And I think to myself, it must be the work that they're doing. They've been doing incessantly since their 20s, probably, or before, that has kept them this way. And I think that the same can go for the mental side as well. I'm not saying that everybody should work. I'm just saying that for this guy, keeping me work, keeping working a little bit, having a little anxiety in my life seems to do well to keep me from becoming a blunt instrument. And I'm grateful for that. And I hope that that doesn't stay the same. I hope that like I'm increasingly saying, 2026 I'll do this job. I wonder if I'll do it into 2027. I would like to get to the point where I can stay sharp and no longer need the crutch of work. It was a good day yesterday. My creed consists of 8 objectives and 35 principles, again, as I said, outlined in my book, Going Alone, in the chapter titled The Good Life, available online at goingalone.org. The 8 objectives are to, first of all, to have my affairs in order, my relationships in good shape, and my life's work in a clean state, if not complete, so that I can die in peace and without a single backwards glance. My second objective is to make the day filled with good utilization. So every hour passing, can you hear the winding and the clicking of my clocks? I've added this other clock to the mix here. It's not an antique, but it clicks and clicks and makes this winding sound, and I like it. At first, it was kind of annoying, but because it kind of doesn't just tick, it kind of grinds away, and it stops on its own. I have to kind of bang it sometimes to keep it going. These clocks that don't keep time yet keep pace are my incessant reminders when I'm in this room that my time is measured, if not in a fateful way, at least in the fact of the passing of each second and hour. And I want to make good utilization of that time. That is, in fact, the second objective. My third objective is to develop and then maintain a good, solid, sound creed consisting of objectives and principles, which I've done and are in my book. And this good life meditation is my daily activity of maintenance of the aforementioned creed. My fourth objective is to cultivate good emotional reactions so that I respond well when things get tough. Had something happen, was it yesterday that I responded really well? Well, I didn't take note of it, but now I've forgotten what it was. But there was something that happened in the moment. I was like, "Wow, look at you, Kurt! You're responding really well. Not even not even a beginning to tickle of a rise of anxiety or frustration. Sure, I had some anxiety yesterday. Anxiety kind of comes from someplace else, like we're back here. You know, the stuff that I'm talking about where I have to apply hashtag temperance rises from the gut. And there was something that happened yesterday that I kept my cool and I spotted it happening in the moment. That's the fourth objective, is to keep my cool, so to speak. That would be a good name for it. Actually, the formal name for it is to perform good or have good reactions to my emotions. My fifth objective is to apply my values to the world in an effective manner, passing through the day, leaving behind me in my wake a trail of decisions and actions illustrative of prudence, discernment, and informed decision making, reasonable decision making. My sixth objective is to recognize what is and what is not possible for me to do, so that I don't ask myself to do things that I can't, and that I do require of myself action where action is necessary and I'm able. My seventh objective is to not multitask, to do things slowly and deliberately, one at a time wherever possible. Sometimes I have to multitask. Sometimes I need to run away from a bear while dialing 911 at the same time. But you get the idea. If it's not an emergency, then I'll try to avoid that. My eighth objective and final objective is to attain and maintain and sustain a state of balance in both body and mind, which is less something that I actually have to strive for or facilitate as much as an emergent property of the application of the aforementioned 7 objectives. If I can seek after and apply the objectives that I mentioned before, then balance just kind of becomes a part of that. A consequence, it arises, like I said, as an emergent quality. It's interesting how it does that. Less something you have to achieve and more something you get as a result. It's like a prize. And then that's it for my objectives. Let's read a principle now. Today I'm going to read the principle titled The Uphill Climb. Let me open the book. I need a candle. Should I try to get this monster candle over here? Let's try this without getting burned. Okay, let's try to do this without burning myself. The uphill climb and the sub-principle, the open ocean swim. I will rise each morning and turn my attention to the uphill grade, to the slope which leads up, to the path which resists my climb, yet yields ever widening horizons with each step forward. I will move forward and up. I will rarely stop, and I will never willingly go back or even cast a longing backwards glance at the places I've been and have left behind. A boy can dream That's exactly how I hope to live my life. And for the most part, I think I am. Steadily climbing, rising, and not looking back. At least not in a longing way. Another way to look at this is from the perspective of my life by the sea, where sometimes I slip alone into the ocean to swim far out to deep water and then along the shore. The water is deep out there, and the waves incessant, pushing me now up and then back and over and across as I make my best line along the distant shore. No matter how the sea might rock or jostle my body, I carry on. I keep swimming. And when a larger wave foils my attempts to take in a breath of air, filling my mouth instead with salt seawater, I only sputter and spit and yet carry on. I swim through the sea with a steady resolve, apathetic to the sea, while nevertheless engaged upon and within it. This is the uphill and steady climb forward. This is the open ocean swim. The open ocean swim is just another way to look at the uphill climb, carrying on through the rough seas, far from shore, alone, in the cold and what's down there in the deep, with, if not without fear, at least with fortitude. That's it for that. Today, next 24 hours, I'm going to finish up here. No morning exercise this morning for two reasons. One, it was raining. I think the rain stopped. That's always a reason they don't hold the morning exercise. And then the second reason is that I have substituting for one of the teachers at the school this morning, which means I have first period. I need to be there at 8:30. So I'll wrap up here. Then I'll take a little Rudy for a walk, and then I'll be out the door and headed downtown. Let's read comments. All right. Hello, Tim. Good morning. Weather check for the UK at 8:32 p.m. is 5.8 degrees Celsius. It's getting warmer and 77% humidity. A heavy, showery day with blustery winds. Wow. Over here, Tim, it's looks like it's about 7 degrees and humidity. It's pretty high. It's like it's about 70. With a lot with kind of showery, intermittent not showers, intermittent drizzle. Robert, hi Robert, says hi to myself and Tim. Currently 3 degrees, and that would be C, that is, and 55% humidity with an air quality index of 55 in Napanee, Ontario, Canada. Tim says hi to Robert. Michael Littlejohns, hey. Tim says hi to Michael. Robert says hi to Michael. Hello there. And Tim says, I was watching your last At Home in Japan yesterday. The sweet shop in Hidden Bridge. The sweet shop was a lovely place to see. Very traditional feel. That falling tree branch was scary though. Oh, it was. Yeah, it's amazing. I went to kick it to, you're talking about the tree branch along that abandoned trail that Yumiko found that we went on. I went to kick it to see if it was a root, and I didn't realize it was a branch, which set off like one of those with Goldberg machines, right? And it was fell down and flew up in the air and came crashing down right between my wife and Yoko. I was rather surprised and disappointed in myself for being so reckless. Glad nobody was hurt. I got a stern looking at from my wife for that one. But it was a hazardous trail. Probably, I'm surprised that the good Japanese haven't cordoned it off, because there were also other places where it was nearly worn through. At least the bridge was safe. All right, everybody. Well, I think I've reached the end of the line, reached the end of comments. I am going to sign off for now and go out, and I already did all my lesson. I did my lesson prep yesterday, and then I did my lesson double check just now. I'm ready to go, and I'm dressed for work. I wish everybody all the best. Be safe, but not too safe, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.